The Queen Mother would sometimes be subjected to retaliation at home from Princess Margaret over the repeated criticism of her conduct and style, a new documentary has claimed. The Queen Mother and Princess Margaret moved together to Clarence House shortly after the death of King George VI to allow Queen Elizabeth II and her family to move into Buckingham Palace. The pair continued living together until Margaret married Anthony Armstrong-Jones in 1960, but the early years of their cohabitation away from the palace is believed to have resulted in some tension between the two. Royal family expert Anne de Courcy told Channel 5 documentary Princess Margaret, "Rebel without a crown, sometimes she would come in to find her mother watching the racing." The Queen Mother loved racing and, of course, had some horses. Margaret didn't like that at all, thought it was boring, so she would simply pick up the remote and change channels. There was a good deal of irritability. She loved her deeply but was difficult with her. She didn't really know what to do. Ms. de Courcy suggested Margaret's lack of a job had left her unclear about what to do with her life. She continued, "If everything is done for you, you get up after breakfast and what do you do until lunchtime?" That's why she always focused on the evenings, because that's when her friends stopped working and would come to see her. Royal author Aunt Seba suggested the conflictual relationship Margaret had with the Queen Mother was also the result of repeated criticism the princess received from her parent. Ms. Seba said, "She moved into Clarence House with her mother and that was not always an easy relationship. It wasn't they didn't love each other, but her mother was never her #1 supporter and was often very critical of what she wore. And Margaret was often humiliating and rude to her mother as well." Princess Margaret had seen her life turned upside down for the second time in 16 years as her father suddenly passed away from cancer and her older sister Elizabeth became the Queen. The daughters of the Duke and Duchess of York had seen their position in the line of succession change unexpectedly when King Edward VIII chose to abdicate to marry his lover Wallis Simpson. With the death of her father, Margaret suffered the loss of one of closest allies in the royal family as well as the loss of her sister to her new duties to the monarchy. Ms. de Courcy commented on their relationship, "She was her father's favorite. He once said, 'Elizabeth is my pride, but Margot is my joy.' And certainly he was the most important man in her life, always. It was her father that was completely central to her." Despite the differences they went through shortly in the early years after the death of King George VI, Princess Margaret remained very close to the Queen Mother. The pair died within months of each other at their respective ages of 71 and 101.